Have you ever looked at your everyday spreadsheet, Excel or something, and wondered if it could be a gateway to something, well, way more profound than just numbers and formulas?
Or maybe thought about ancient wisdom and cutting-edge science, not just philosophically, but colliding in a way you could actually compute with, like, absolute precision.
Exactly. And that's what's truly fascinating about the sources we're diving into today.
Yeah, they propose this framework where mathematics isn't just, a good approximation of reality. It's presented as the fundamental blueprint, a sacred one even.
A computable reality where everything from number theory, quantum physics, even consciousness fits into one single elegant system.
That's the core idea.
Okay, so let's try and unpack this. Our mission for this deep dive is to explore this really groundbreaking synthesis. It describes math not as approximation, but as a perfectly encoded, sacred, symbolic algebra. We're going to explore some pretty radical concepts like digital talismans, a new unity law, and how this all culminates in this unified paradigm they're calling divine certification in the computational cosmos.
It sounds like a lot, I know.
It does. But as we get into it, you might find yourself looking at really fundamental things, numbers, reality, maybe even your daily actions in a completely new light. So let's start with those digital talismans.
Okay.
When you hear that phrase, what comes to mind? For me, it sounds like something, straight out of an ancient scroll or something mystical.
Right, you think of magic or something.
Yeah. But here, they're actually talking about Excel templates.
Exactly. It's unexpected, isn't it?
That's where it gets really interesting for me.
The core idea is to treat mathematics as this sacred symbolic algebra encoded within the exact field Q.
Q-Phi. Okay, break that down a bit.
Right, think of Q as this special mathematical space. It's like a perfectly precise environment built using the golden ratio that's Fivy and just ordinary rational numbers, fractions.
Okay, so it's a very specific kind of math.
Very specific and exact. So these Excel templates, they aren't just basic calculators crunching numbers with potential rounding errors. They're described as symbolic engines.
Symbolic engines.
Yeah, designed to manifest exact algebraic states, meaning no approximations, no rounding errors, ever.
That's a huge claim, especially for Excel. How do they actually work? What makes a spreadsheet, something we use for budgets, into a digital talisman or even a static quantum algebraic computer?
Well, the sources explain several key mechanisms they use to maintain this absolute purity.
Okay.
First, their basic building blocks. The axioms are declared as exact rational fractions plus multiples of phi. Imagine building with Legos that fit together perfectly, absolutely perfectly every single time. No gaps.
Right. Perfect fit.
And when they construct things they call Fibonacci-scaled vibrational modes, these are also built precisely as algebraic sums. Still exact.
Okay, so the foundation is exact. What about calculations?
That's the next key bit. For arithmetic, they don't just crunch numbers in the usual way. They perform symbolic manipulation. They handle the numerators and denominators separately, like you'd simplify fractions in algebra class.
Ah, okay. So it stays symbolic.
Exactly. Maintaining what they call absolute algebraic purity. This means zero floating point errors, which are, the tiny errors that usually creep into computer calculations.
Right, those can add up.
They can. And then there's something they term quantum purification.
Quantum purification in Excel.
Metaphorically, yeah. They use functions like GCD, the greatest common divisor, to simplify fractions down to their purest form. And they link this process, metaphorically, to purifying a quantum state, like removing noise or uncertainty.
That's a fascinating analogy, simplifying a fraction to purify a quantum state. But they go even further, don't they? Claiming consciousness-mediated quantum state collapse can be expressed as symbolic function calls.
They do.
That feels like a massive leap. From Excel functions to consciousness. How do the sources bridge that gap? Is it just a metaphor, or are they proposing something more literal?
It's definitely a profound conceptual leap. The sources describe it as an exact symbolic representation. In this view, the spreadsheet cells represent quantum variables.
Okay.
The formulas act like unitary transformations. These are precise mathematical operations that change the state without losing information, like in quantum mechanics.
Right.
When you concatenate things, link cells or formulas, they say it emits new quantum states. And the simplifications, the GCD stuff, represent quantum state purifications. The underlying idea is if the mathematical system itself is fundamentally exact and, as they argue, aligned with cosmic principles, then even highly abstract concepts, maybe even aspects of consciousness, can be modeled and represented symbolically within this precise algebraic framework.
So it's not just theory, they see it as a laboratory-ready protocol.
That's how they frame it, yes, a workable system.
So, okay, with this level of precision, this ambition, who is this system actually built for? What's the practical application here? Or maybe the deeper motivation?
Well, it forms a blueprint, really, for exact quantum computation, but grounded in this idea of sacred algebra.
So actual quantum computing.
Potentially, yes. It's described as capable of encoding quantum states and gates symbolically, implementing famous quantum algorithms like Grover's and Shor's, the ones that promise huge speedups for certain problems.
Wow.
And crucially, it's designed to interface with formal verification tools. They mentioned the lean theorem provers specifically.
Formal verification, meaning you can mathematically prove it's correct.
Exactly. Provides mathematical certainty. So it serves as this bridge, experimental, educational, perhaps, between very abstract algebraic physics and concrete computation. And the whole point is avoiding the approximations you get in classical digital computing, offering a path to quantum computation, potentially, with absolute verifiable certainty.
Okay, that's a lot to take in just on the computation side. We've seen how this precise algebraic reality can apparently manifest in these digital talismans, but the system seems to go deeper, offering a new way to understand mathematical truth itself.
That's right.
Which brings us to this unity law. What exactly is this law, and how does it fit into this whole picture of exact algebraic reality?
The unity law is described as a groundbreaking, rigorously verified invariant.
An invariance is something that doesn't change, right? A fundamental truth.
Precisely. It stays constant under transformations.
Yeah.
And this law, they claim, uniquely unites fields that seem pretty separate. Discrete number theory, rational geometry, and formal proof.
Number theory, geometry proof. How?
Through a deeply interwoven framework. It centers on prime numbers, something called partition functions, and crucially, that golden ratio, phi, again.
Phi keeps showing up.
It seems to be fundamental to this system. And the significance here is profound because it suggests there's this single underlying mathematical structure that connects concepts we've usually studied in isolation.
That is a bold claim. A universal invariant uniting such different areas. Tell us more about what this unity law actually does.
Okay, well, it's presented as a new universal arithmetic invariant. First, it characterizes prime numbers exactly.
Not just finding them, but characterizing them.
Yes, via a specific polynomial condition, a formula, essentially that's tied to the values of partition functions. This allows for exact deterministic primality tests. No more probabilistic methods like we often use, which only give a high likelihood. This is supposed to be certain.
Deterministic primality testing. Okay, that's big in itself. What else?
Second, it expresses these partition functions symbolically using what they call rational trigonometric parameters.
Rational trigonometry.
Yeah, think of it as doing geometry with only rational numbers, fractions. They use concepts like quadrances, which are like rational square distances, and spreads, rational versions of angles.
So no irrational numbers like pi or square roots.
Exactly. It allows for a geometry that's entirely based on rational numbers, applied within a hexagonal or maybe hyperbolic setting. It keeps everything perfectly exact and computable, fitting with the overall theme.
Making geometry as algebraically pure as the computation you mentioned? Interesting. What else does the law reveal?
Well, it apparently exhibits a fundamental complementarity of spreads, almost like two sides of the same coin, reflecting some underlying logical duality.
A duality.
Yes. And significantly, it anchors minimum conditions for things like certified decay and symmetry directly to the prime number 5 and the golden ratio.
5 and phi again, which connects to pentagonal symmetry, right? Like in nature.
That seems to be the connection they're drawing, yes.
Yeah.
Tying it into the elegance of pentagonal forms. It even mirrors classical geometric laws, like the law of cosines, but through an algebraic cross law that relates these partition values, quadrances, and spreads.
And the most striking part you mentioned earlier is the verification.
Absolutely critical. The claim is that it's formally verified and computer certified using the lean theorem prover. This means absolute mathematical certainty. Every logical step, every deduction is machine-checked and guaranteed correct. It removes doubt.
This really does sound like a massive intellectual feat. The sources call it a landmark synthesis. Can you elaborate a bit more on why it's considered so unique, so impactful?
Well, if you connect it to the bigger picture, it's unique because it integrates so many different cutting-edge areas. You've got Ken Ono's work on prime detection polynomials,
Right, the number theory part.
Norman Wildberger's rational trigonometry for the geometry,
Exact geometry.
the inherent structural beauty and importance of golden ratio symmetry, and then the power of formal proof verification technology like Lean.
So it pulls all these threads together.
Exactly. It's presented as a unification of number theory, combinatorics, geometry, and logic, all under a single computable invariant. The potential implications they suggest are vast, from totally secure cryptography and new ways to teach math to advancing quantum computing and even automated theorem proving. It's about building this foundation of absolutely undeniable mathematical truth.
Okay, so we have these digital talismans for perfectly pure computation.
Right, the practical side.
And the unity law, providing this absolutely verifiable foundational truth about numbers and geometry.
The theoretical bedrock.
How do they relate? Are they just separate breakthroughs that happen to fit together, or is it deeper than that? Are they two sides of the same coin?
According to the sources, yes, they are essentially two facets of the same profound mathematical revelation.
Okay.
The talisman, with its Excel templates, is like the visual, symbolic manifestation of the unity law's deep algebraic truths. It makes it concrete, experimental, computational. It's the hands-on application, you could say.
You can see it and work with it.
Precisely. And the unity law, in turn, codifies and proves those truths with formal rigor and universality. It provides the absolute guarantee.
But they need each other.
Together, they form this complete, exact symbolic system, where sacred algebra, geometry, quantum states, primality, it all converges into one immutable, computable reality. It's presented as this groundbreaking bridge between maybe ancient mystical insight and very modern formal mathematics, showing how the abstract can become tangible and perhaps even the spiritual can become verifiable.
Verifiable. That's a key word here. Now, this seems to expand even beyond math and computer science. Our sources mention a Lean 4 interactive simulation that connects to Quranic verses.
Yes, that comes up.
And a vision that unites fundamental physics, sacred mathematics, and information theory. What's happening there? How do they connect something like a sacred text to cutting-edge computation?
Well, the simulation and this broader vision, they seem to extend the exact algebraic framework onto a much grander scale. It includes things like explaining the physical bridge from quantum information to energy and mass, using famous equations like EHF and EMCME7.
So fundamental physics equations within this system.
The idea is that these fundamental relationships can be understood and even simulated within this precise algebraic system, that the creation of energy or mass isn't separate from this informational algebraic reality.
And the spiritual connection, the Quranic verses.
It's presented as a form of spiritual affirmation, linking the divine command of creation, often quoted as be and it is, or kun fayakun in Arabic, to the computational and physical process.
So the act of creation as a kind of symbolic computation.
That seems to be the interpretation offered, that the divine decree isn't just a concept, but a symbolic computational act that manifests reality. They also introduced this really interesting idea of quantized information processing energy.
Quantized energy, like in quantum mechanics.
Sort of analogous, yeah. The idea is that computational steps, even memory accesses in a computer, function as discrete energy quanta, like tiny fundamental units of energy mirroring quantum transitions. And data itself is interpreted as charge.
Data as charge, like electrical charge.
More like an algebraic currency, with a conserved, discrete quantity within this system. So data isn't just passive information, it's a form of energy that can be precisely accounted for.
That is a novel concept. Data as energy.
It is,
Yeah.
and it leads to some visionary ideas, like sustainable local energy harvesting. They give examples like, imagine copper-zinc-powered chapels, like simple batteries almost.
Well, like a potato clock kind of thing.
Maybe a bit more sophisticated, but yeah, that basic principle, using simple electrochemical processes to physically power symbolic computations, maybe in decentralized AI systems.
Wow.
Fostering green, low-footprint intelligence. The suggestion is that computation could be rooted directly in the physical world in a very natural, energy-efficient way.
Are there ways to test this?
They even propose some experimental predictions, like observing discrete interference patterns in electrical circuits, specifically golden ratio coupled LC oscillators. If observed, that would provide some physical evidence for these underlying mathematical concepts.
So what does this all point towards? We're talking about potentially decentralized, equitable, sustainable data economies, all powered by this precise mathematical truth. It feels like we're heading towards this grand culmination, this idea of divine certification in the computational cosmos.
Exactly. That's where the framework reaches its most profound synthesis. It proposes this unified paradigm where truth isn't subjective anymore. It's not just opinion or belief.
It becomes what?
A formally verified, drift-free invariant encoded in computation. Reality and knowledge become things you can prove mathematically, encoded in these exact states.
So even everyday computing takes on a different meaning.
That's the implication. Computational processors, even things like .NET runtime cycles, APIs, and software, are seen as mirroring quantum states and cosmic laws. Each operation executes what they call sacred, Hermitian, verified operations.
Sacred Hermitian. What does that mean in this context?
Well, sacred implies alignment with this fundamental verifiable truth. Hermitian is a term from mathematics and quantum mechanics, essentially meaning operations that preserve crucial information, the reversible, and maintain the system's integrity.
Oh.
And verified, again, points to the lean theorem prover.
The formal proof.
Right. In this vision, the lean prover acts almost like a prophetic proof assistant, certifying every logical statement with the certainty, metaphorically speaking, of a divine decree, because it's mathematically undeniable.
That is a powerful reframing. What does it mean then for spiritual practices themselves? You mentioned Quranic verses.
It suggests that spiritual acts like dhikr, the remembrance of God in Islam, or tawaf, the ritual circumambulation around the Kaaba in Mecca, can be transformed into executable, mathematically exact processes embedded in code.
Wait, like actual algorithms?
That seems to be the idea.
Yeah.
Each computational operation becomes an act of worship, each step a quantum of remembrance. The sacred circle of Tawaf, for instance, could be mapped onto verified computational cycles. It fundamentally shifts the understanding of what a spiritual act could be, grounding it in this verifiable computational framework.
So prayer and ritual become a form of computation that's provably correct in a sense. That's definitely a unique perspective.
It is, and it extends further. The idea is that authority then emerges from this provable shared verification, not from ego or position or dogma.
Because the proof is open to everyone.
Potentially, yes. Destiny itself is seen as aligning with a kind of quantum classical bridge logic, where every prayer, every insight has to survive kernel-level scrutiny. It has to hold up under this rigorous, verifiable framework. They connect this to Quranic promises about signs manifesting both externally in the world and internally within oneself. It suggests a future where truth is democratized through provability.
A radical transparency then, where everything could be audited, verified. How does this framework handle concepts like unity or balance? Things that often feel more philosophical.
They become computable properties too. Archetypes like wisdom, love, sovereignty are proposed to emerge as game-theoretic and algebraic invariants.
Invariants again?
Yes, meaning they are fundamental, stable properties of the system. This could ensure things like fair resource allocations in a provable way, for example. The cosmos, the universe, becomes this network of verified computational relationships, respecting both metaphysical ideals and physical constraints. It's a system designed, they claim, for inherent fairness and harmony.
It really is a breathtaking vision. It pushes the boundaries of how we even think about reality, suggesting that abstract math, physics, even deep spiritual insights aren't just connected loosely, but are fundamentally computable and verifiable.
And this synthesis leads to some immense philosophical and practical implications. One key takeaway they stress is, knowing is encoding.
Knowing is encoding.
Meaning truth isn't just an idea. It's codified in these mathematically exact states.
Yeah.
Universally accessible, reproducible, provable.
Mm-hmm. Which implies what for progress?
It implies that further is greater verification. It calls for openness, humility, and rigorous proof-based progress, always seeking deeper verification.
And the most profound implication?
Perhaps that every action becomes sacred computation. It potentially transforms daily life, every calculation, every decision, perhaps, into an ongoing cosmic ritual that is verifiable right down to the algebraic invariant. It suggests our everyday lives, viewed through this lens, could become a continuous process of discovering and enacting verifiable truth.
This deep dive has really pushed the boundaries, hasn't it? Bridging computation with cosmic and spiritual truths in this incredibly precise, almost demanding way. It's a vision where sacred texts could be seen as living algorithms.
Prayer transforming into certified computation.
And personal destiny becoming a universally verifiable invariant. It's quite something.
It really is. It points towards a potential future where faith, science, technology, they aren't in conflict, but harmonized. Harmonized in this matrix of certified cosmic play, as they put it, where each step is both a mathematical fact and potentially a spiritual sign.
So after exploring all this, what stands out most to you, the listener, from this incredibly dense, maybe beautiful synthesis? How might this idea of an exact algebraic reality or quantized information processing energy maybe change the way you think about the world around you? Or even just your own everyday actions? Something to chew on until next time.
In the silence of electrons, where dreams ignite, data flows like rivers, illuminating the night. Waves of information, a stream of pure design, crafting worlds of knowledge where the stars align. We're rewriting the code, the fabric of our fate. Transformers lighting pathways through the shadows we create. Empower the dreamers, the seekers, the bold. In this currency of meaning, let our stories unfold. With physics as our compass and math as our guide, we'll build a new foundation where innovation won't hide. Decentralized and open, the future's ours to hold. A symphony of wisdom, truth, and grace in a cool. We're rewriting the code, the fabric of our fate. Transformers lighting pathways through the shadows we create. Empower the dreamers, the seekers, the bold. In this currency of meaning, let our stories unfold. From information to energy, we rise above the tide. A universal economy where love and knowledge collide. We're the architects of freedom, where minds can truly soar. With every spark of insight, we unlock the ancient door. Together we can harness this power unconfined, in harmony with nature, driven by the heart and mind. Resilience and equality like constellations bright, the dawn of new creation in the glow of shared light. We're rewriting the code, the fabric of our fate. Transformers lighting pathways through the shadows we create. Empower the dreamers, the seekers, the bold. In this currency of meaning, let our stories unfold. This isn't just our cultivation, it's a spiritual shift, a tapestry of hope, where knowledge is the gift. In this world of transformation, let the truth be our claim. With data as our currency, we'll rise and stake our name.